before we bring him in, Sarah.
Yeah.
I just so happened to see his Twitter, and I just so happened to realize that Metallica performed at Lane Stadium, which is an iconic college football venue, yesterday. So I think the proper way to bring in Coach Pry is sharing a little something from his Twitter account, and then we'll bring him on and get his reaction to kind of get this interview jump started. Here is Coach Pry from just last night.
Hokie Nation, unbelievable. Metallica in the house. Lane Stadium tonight. Finally it happens. Look at these jerseys, unbelievable. All 4 band members, names on the back, and I love this orange one. Hokie Nation, you're going to love it. Look at the back of that jersey, Metallica, right there in the VT. It's going to be a rocking night. Bang your head. Go Hokies, go Metallica.
Yes.
And without further ado, the head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies, kind enough to spend some time with us here inside the vault. Coach, did you just take us inside your pregame speech in the locker room? I'm ready to run through a wall for you right now if you need.
Well, listen, when you're standing there with Metallica, you better be strong and have your voice heard. You got to be impressive. You can't go in there flat with a group like that.
No, you cannot. It's like Brian Billick saying, when you go into a lion's den, you don't go in with your head down. You got to go in there waving your arms around with your spears ready to fight. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's awesome. Coach, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to learn more about the Ravens' newest defensive tackle, Aeneas Peebles. Can you just give us a big picture? Who are we getting in Aeneas Peebles?
Yeah, let me tell you, first of all, unbelievable teammate. Those guys are going to love him in that locker room. He is a very likable young man. Made the transition here as a transfer with 1 year remaining and became one of the favorites in the locker room. The rest of those D linemen embraced him. He became fast friends with everybody. He's got a big smile. But, outside of being a tremendous teammate, he's a very versatile defensive lineman. He's got great feet, incredible quickness, and he's a very savvy football player.
So being that he was a transfer, and of course, you're no stranger to understanding what the transfer portal world looks like these days and the NIL world, which is another thank you for coming on, because I know that there is really no offseason when you're a head coach in college football. But as a transfer, was there something about him that stuck out to you and your staff that, he's a Hokie right here, we got to bring him into our program?
Well, to be honest, a lot like what we do with a lot of our transfers, there's a connection. There's a previous relationship. We can know, a little bit more in depth about a guy. And we knew that with Aeneas. Our corner coach, Derek Jones, had helped recruit him to Duke and knew the family very well. In fact, Aeneas has a younger brother that's going through the recruiting process now. But so we knew so much about the family and, the home training and how he was raised and what type of young man he is, what kind of character. And then obviously, he had success at the position in our league. So that was very easy to see and to sign off on. And then with the relationship with the family and our coach, the character piece, we were able to check that box. And so he was that was a big get for us. Duke worked really hard to retain his services, and we were thankful that he decided to become a Hokie.
It sounds like you worked even harder. There's something to this. John Harbaugh says the same thing. He loves it when players come from a football family, a family of athletes. What kind of impact do you feel like his family had, on a day-to-day basis? Why does that matter so much?
Yeah, well, as a coach, you just appreciate that. The conversations that happen in that household. My dad was a college coach for 45 years. Both my brothers played. I played. So you're raised on competitiveness, on dedication, on sacrificing time, on incredible effort. You've been through the tough wins, the tough losses and the incredible wins. And so you knew that about Aeneas. He's got that going on, every day in his life. It's a competitive advantage when you are coming from a football family.
He put out a tweet not long after being drafted that I'm actually scrolling down to right now because I want to make sure that I get it correctly, but it was essentially putting the NFL on notice. And here it is right here, Coach. I'll read it word for word. Y'all messed up. Let me in the door. NFL, now I'm going to make it my home. Coach, one, talk to us a little bit about, you've already mentioned a couple things of this guy's personality, which clearly is unique and lights up a room. But what
he's confident. He's a confident guy.
No.
He was confident when we recruited him. He was confident as a player here. I wasn't surprised at all when I saw him make that statement. I kind of cringed a little bit, like, slow down, Aeneas. But that's who he is. It really is. That's who he is. That's what you're getting. He's a confident guy. He's going to have incredible determination to be successful at that level.
Yeah, I figure as the Papa Bear, right? You're cringing as Papa Bear in a sense. But I guess speaking of confidence, what would give you confidence as a talent evaluator, somebody who has sent year after year prospects off to play on Sundays, that his game will indeed translate to compete on Sundays?
Yeah, again, I think a couple things. He's got really good feet. And to me, that's one of the most important things, particularly for those inside spots. Whether you're talking about D tackle play, inside linebacker play, there's just so much trash in there. When you got quick feet and you can pick them up and put them down, it's an advantage. I think it's what helps him be tough to block. And then the second piece is he's got great get off. He gets out of his stance. He's in the attack mode. He can get on edges. He's got some qualities that say he can play out on the edge, but he's got the strength and he knows how to play with leverage. He knows how to strain to be able to play closer to the football. So he's got a unique skill set.
I was just about to ask you how he gets in the offensive backfield all the time, but I think you just named it, between his feet, his get off, and his leverage. So that's good to know. Now, when it comes to measurables, he may not be what usually we'll see at a defensive tackle in the NFL. Maybe kind of it's ironic because his nickname is Fub, and he said that it was because he was born chubby, and so they called him fat and chubby, put it together, became Fubby, and then Fub. So the irony is that he's being called by scouts maybe somewhat undersized. Do you feel like when it comes to run stuffing that he'll be able to stand up to some of these big centers and guards and maybe some big running backs that are coming through at the NFL level?
Yeah, I do. I think it's because he understands leverage so well and plays with great leverage. As I mentioned, he can strain, he can fight pressure. He'll use offensive linemen's momentum against them. He's a savvy, smart football player, and he's also a good technician. He really works at it. I think he's going to hit his stride. I think he's ready to start playing his best football.
Let's cut to his introductory press conference. Part of what he had to say about his nickname. You'll get a good chuckle out of this, Coach.
Well, I got the nickname Fub when I was a little kid. So, I rarely even hear my government name nowadays. But, when I was a baby, I was fat and chubby. So they always called me Fubby growing up. And, now that I got older, it got shortened to Fub. So, I ran with it.
A little bit of rhyming included there. By the way, he comes across as a big teddy bear behind the mic. I'd have to think he's anything but between the lines.
Yeah, like I said, he got some swagger now. When he puts those pads on and he's out there playing ball, he's got some real swagger about him. I love that part of it.
What do you think of his fit with the Ravens specifically? We've had other coaches on to some of our draft picks that we got, and some of them felt like they felt like they knew it was going to be the Ravens just based off of phone calls that they got from Baltimore, whether it was one of the scouts or EDC. They're like, oh, I can tell the Ravens are interested. Did you talk to any Ravens scouts? And B, how do you feel like he'd fit in Baltimore, especially playing next to Nnamdi Madubuike, an all-pro defensive tackle?
Yeah, I think he fits in well. We don't get to watch a ton of NFL football as college coaches. Your Sundays are a grind. But what I know about the Ravens and what they do, he is a good fit. And I also think, we've got a guy that was here with us for a couple of years, worked in recruiting, and he's over with the Ravens now in the scouting department. And so he obviously, did his homework. and from trusted sources was able to know a lot about Aeneas. And I'm sure that there was a level of comfort there.
Coach, there's been a little bit of overlap between your program and the Ravens. I know Chuck Clark was prior to your arrival down there in Blacksburg. And then, of course, Aeneas is most recently. But you going to send any more other guys up our way here in Baltimore?
Well, listen, we're recruiting well. We're getting better all the time. We still have a lot of work to do. But, we were proud this year. We had 6 guys out at the Combine and 5 in the Senior Bowl, another one out in the Shrine Bowl. But we've, we're doing things the right way. I'm excited about the future, and hopefully, yes, we will be sending more players to the Ravens. And plus, we like having them close by. That way, it's an easy get back to Blacksburg.
Yes,
that's right. That's right. Get you over here. So last question for me, Coach. I know that you were like a little bit nervous about his tweet and whatnot, but he did fall to the 6th round. Do you feel like eventually he's going to be able to outplay his draft spot?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. I felt like he was a, middle of the draft guy. I knew they ding him for his size a little bit, but I think that, again, I think his best football's in front of him. I really believe that. I just saw him, really turning the corner and doing some things that a true vet does. So I think he'll flourish in your organization. I do believe that.
I said that was my last question, but can you go a little deeper into that? What have you seen that makes you feel like he's turned a corner to be more like a vet?
Yeah, I think those guys in their last year, it was a big decision for him to come here. And so he really increased the amount of extra effort and time and studying the game and mastering his craft. He's not there yet, but he took a big step that way. And he's a smart guy. So as he digs deeper and wants to know more and learn more about O-line play and offensive schemes, he's only going to get better.
Yeah. Coach, we really appreciate your time, particularly after what I'm sure was a career night for you. I forgot to bring this up in the beginning.
Yeah, late night.
Come on now. This is a little backstage access for you.
Yeah, man, that's how I roll. Yeah, that's what we do at Virginia Tech, man. We bring, Hall of Fame rock and roll metal bands in and hang out with them.
That is awesome.
Lane Stadium was rocking, guys. I'm telling you, Lane Stadium was unbelievable last night. Go online and watch some of the videos. It was an incredible performance by Metallica.
Hey, too many to choose from, but your favorite Metallica song?
Oh, come on.
You got to choose one.
Of course, it's Enter Sandman.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just picked the Steelers one there, Bobby.
Well, he picked what's a Hokie staple, and that's actually what I was going to get you out of here on, Coach, because you've been with the program now for several years. But if you could, and I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times, but if you could somehow articulate what was happening within you as you and your crew entered Lane Stadium for your first home game as the head coach of the Hokies, how would you describe it?
That just gave me chills, you talking about it. It's the best entrance in all of college football. And to experience it firsthand and to lead that team out of the tunnel, I'm blessed and fortunate. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been coaching 35 years, and it's been, it's the most amazing event that's happened in my coaching career.
It's incredible. It's still on my bucket list for sure.
You got to do it.
A lot of buddies.
You won't regret it.
I got a lot of Hokie boys that are in this area. My father went to Georgetown, so his classmates, their kids are watching this. They're all Hokie people, and I've been following your program from afar for a long time. So thank you so much for carving out some time. And hey, if Aeneas's career blossoms like we all hope it will, and you expect it to, then we'll have to do this again down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, guys. Pulling for Aeneas always. You guys are going to be excited about this guy.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Coach. Best of luck. And man, oh man,
I screwed it up. It's not Enter Sandman. It's Renegade. How did I get that wrong?
Well, so I'm telling you, yes, that's correct. But that pregame atmosphere, that game day atmosphere, not having done it yet, I think honestly you can speak on it without actually having done it. Maybe not to the degree of which you can when you've been in Lane Stadium, but having watched those viral videos, that is a college football staple. And the fact that they got Metallica inside Lane Stadium
Yeah.
at the end of the semester, no less. Think about being a student there last night. What an environment. So,
Awesome.
hey, that just marked our first active head coach at any level joining us here inside the vault. So not only was that a milestone for this show, nearly 3 years into our existence, but I thought it was really helpful to kind of get to know who Fub is all about. He was a transfer, so they did only spend 1 year together. I had actually forgotten that, so that was good stuff there from Coach. But
I do think that says a lot about Aeneas, that he can have that type of success in a single year coming into a new defense. And to Coach's point that, like, you know, the wheels are turning. He's studying offensive linemen and what they do. The fact that he could pick up the defense in a single year and have the success that he did, that's really a great sign as he transitions into the NFL. One thing I forgot to ask him is I wondered if he's got to be able to put on more weight too, right? Like if people keep saying he's undersized, maybe that's something that he can do.
yeah, that was awesome. Get to learn a little bit more about the outspoken. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. The best part in my mind was when he put on his Papa Bear hat, right? And he's like, I kind of cringed when he tweeted that out.
Yeah.
And we covered it ever so slightly, I think. But this is a pretty big statement from a 6th round pick. Y'all messed up, let me in the door. Now I'm going to make it my home, NFL. He's feeling some sort of adrenaline that I think we all would just clamor to have and feel for even 5 minutes in our lives. So I'm not going to hold it to him. I'm not going to hold it against him.
Yeah, no.
But,
Listen, I feel like a good chunk of draft picks, they're feeling the adrenaline. They're feeling excited. They feel like they made it in. I remember Trenton Simpson was the same way. He was talking big. And so all these guys do it. And I am not going to feel bad that in their moment of excitement where their dreams come true, that they're thinking that, all right, great. I got this goal. Now I'm ready for the next one.
Precisely. As we always say, these guests, these coaches, these analysts, these players make time out of their busy days. And when you think about what's going on these days in an ever-changing landscape that is college athletics, with the transfer portal running rampant, with the NIL world bringing new challenges, we can't thank these guys enough. These folks that are, willing to share their perspective with us. So if you could go tweet at Coach Pry VT right here, send him a little message of thanks because we really appreciate it. And that was pretty cool to mark off a great guest.
Yeah, that was great. Good job. Great booking by you.
Thank you. And thanks to Travis from Virginia Tech, the athletics department, for making that happen behind the scenes.